What's going on, guys? Late night update, a late night apocalyptic update, hammering home once again the seriousness of the hour, and many are asleep. Unfortunately, people don't realize how bad things are going to get. But maybe the picture on this thumbnail will awaken everybody, but probably not. Most people don't know their Bible. What's up, Scott? Hi, Pamela. People don't study. People don't pray. People don't hear from God anymore. This is why we're in the situation we're in. And unfortunately, it's probably the harvest. The harvest is ripe. The grapes of wrath are being trodden. We're about to see the grapes of wrath being and maybe this is it. This got to be the black horse riding. I'm telling you, this has got to be the black horse. Did you see the interview of Trump when they questioned him about the recession / depression and what he said? Sounds like he's hiding something. Sounds like he's not wanting people to hear or admit to what's really going on. Or he is kind of giving, it's almost like he didn't care. Yeah, I know it's going to be a recession at a certain point. But the feeling I got was that it's a little nefarious. Like there's something else happening that people aren't understanding what's going on. They're going to understand when they're starving. That's when they're going to understand. When the whole of the dominoes begin, this is going to kick off the whole domino effect. Maybe this is just plausible deniability. He can just say it was previous administration and he's overseeing the collapse because of what happened prior to his entrance in. Because when they first came in, what was the statement that Trump administration made? We didn't realize it was this bad. We didn't realize it was this bad. Really? I knew it was that bad. You knew it was that bad. But there's no fixing it. And it is a great reset. And it is all part of the global plan. And Trump should have known that. I'm sure he does. He's just playing dumb. And he keeps doling out big doses of hopium to those who are lapping it up. But when their jobs are gone and their middle class status or upper middle class status is gone, well, how are they going to start thinking then? There's a lot of people losing their jobs right now. People are starting to wake up, but they're going to wake up too late. They're going to wake up after the fact, and they're going to taste like chicken because everything's going to be cooked. Put a fork in it, it's done. You're going to taste like chicken, just like everything tastes like chicken when it's cooked. So your jobs are going to be cooked. Your goose is cooked. What the heck happened here? No. Okay. Everybody's goose is cooked because we are in the last days, as we've been telling and warning you to prepare for. Is there any preparation that can even be had for the last days? I don't know. Maybe it'll prolong your suffering. Who knows? Maybe it'll just, if it's something that God has given you an insight into to prepare for, there's a reason why you prepared. Maybe you're like a little bit of a Joseph. Maybe you're not a fully committed and fully aware believer that knows what's happening, but you might have got a little inkling. And so you listened and prepared a little bit. Will it help? It may. The amount and the measure that you committed may give you a little extra, depending on how much you put into it. If you put a lot into it, maybe you're going to get higher up above the tsunami. Maybe you're going to just barely reach the top as the tsunami comes washing ashore. You're going to just barely be out of reach. You're running up the hill. Because this is a tsunami of chaos. It's about to descend upon the whole planet. I hope that you all understand what's coming. If we didn't have Trump now, we would all see, TJ, if you just don't understand what's going on here, he's part of the plan, my friend. He's the other side of the coin. He knows what's going on. He's not dumb. In fact, he's probably orchestrating. He's probably one of the big wigs behind the scene that's orchestrating everything. Okay, why do you think he took a picture and is trolling everybody saying he wants to be the next pope? Come on. He's one of them, if not the top dog. He may, in fact, be the little horn, if you don't know what the little horn is. Wake up. Wake up. Judah's right. You got to be prepared with your heart and soul. Everything else is just gravy on the external preps. Whether or not that's going to truly, and this is where God would confirm that you're doing outwardly, you're doing the things that He's calling you to do, because maybe there is those who are going to go further in. I think there's going to be a lot more that are not going to make it because of their location, because of their mindset. They don't have God with them, and maybe and even those who might, it says in Scripture that there's going to be those who are given to the sword, those who are given to prison, those who are going to be in exile. Everybody, is going to come under some kind of fate at a certain point. And I believe that's in reference to the last days. That great evil that descends upon the whole of the planet. This is a message for the whole world at a certain moment in time. It's not just for one experience of a people at a certain age, because obviously throughout the ages there's always been wars, there's always been famines and pestilences, and but what is the hallmark of the last days is that all of these things begin to converge, and it becomes a point of great evil that has never happened ever before or thereafter will ever happen again. This intensity of evil that is compressed into a short period of time. This is what we're talking about when we talk about the Revelation, the book of Revelation, and the prophetic, scenarios of the last days. And do I believe that that's what we're looking at right now? I do. I do think that this is it. Because of the signs that are very clearly marking out the signposts of all those prophecies that explain what it will look like in that day, it looks like it now. And I would have never said that before 5 years ago. I would have never said that. Now, I take that back. I started really thinking that we were in the last days right after Obama came into office, 2008. But the clarity of what that actually meant was not fully understood until 2020. But I did talk about the last days being upon us beginning in 2011 or so with I was talking about it in 2008 on video because I used to make YouTube videos. But when I started doing live streams and talking to people personally, whether it was in chats or um, live streams, I was telling people, I think we're in the last days. We're seeing the unfolding of last day events. The BRICS was a big part of that. Some of that juxtapositioning of nations were all starting to line up into their biblical eschatological regions. Their alliances were all starting to form. We could see that back during the BRICS as we were studying it, 2008, 12, 11-ish, 12, 13, 2013. And we were talking about the BRICS even back then. And then as we got closer to 2020 and we started seeing what happened there, and now, I mean, I was talking about this going all the way back into the early 2000s about how Iran would be at a time when we're about to go to war with Iran, that there would be an economic collapse. And I had linked the two even way back early 2000s. This was even before 9/11. Actually, it was probably right after 9/11. I was very aware that Iran would be a connection to our failing economy. And this is exactly where we're at. So unfortunately, many people are falling into that whole warning of Christ when he was talking to his disciples about the latter day. He told them, be careful that no one deceive you. The great deception of the last days was that many were going to fall away. Many would be deceived. Many are going to be following these false Christs or these false doctrines. Have you guys seen online this new, it may be a big psyop, it may be a big distraction, but there's a guy that's, since the Pope has passed, supposedly they cursed him. They said they cursed the Pope and the Pope died. This is what they said. Well, this guy supposedly the Mahdi. Mahdi is the 12th imam. I don't know if it's the 12th imam. It's one of the imams that they're expecting to come in Islam that will fulfill their prophecy, kind of like our Savior or Jesus returns, or the Jews' belief in the return of a Messiah. The Islamic world has their Mahdi, right? They believe he's going to return. Well, this man has claimed that he is the Mahdi and that he is also the fulfillment of the return of Christ, and that he's also the fulfillment of the he basically fulfills end time prophecies of both East and West, and that he and his followers had cursed the day before the night that Pope Francis died. They cursed him to death. This is what they said. And it's going viral right now because there's a lot of video on this. I don't know if you've seen it, but the dude wears a beanie, and he's really dark, but he's pretty articulate in the way he speaks about faith and especially about Islam. But he does talk a lot about Christianity and about Jesus and about the prophets. And he tries to embrace all of the different faiths in an ecumenical kind of way to say that he is the fulfillment of these prophecies. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Has anybody seen that? That just recently came he came on the scene recently. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of prepared now. Did anybody hear my dream that I shared this morning? There was a dream that I had last night or this morning, and I calculated it with my wife. The dream may have been happening at the moment or within the hour of this tsunami warning. When I woke up, I thought maybe it was symbolic of the tsunami of chaos, not necessarily the indication of something that would actually be a tsunami in the natural world. I felt like it was symbolic, but it seemed that it was actually happening at the time I had the dream. So that was kind of weird. But in the dream, it wasn't a natural tsunami. It was a machine that was producing or that was manufacturing a massive tsunami that people were not ready for. And it was going to sweep over. And I was actually in harm's way in the dream, but I saw it coming before it came through the machine that it was going to be released on the public. And I was able to ascend a stairwell. And I had some people with me, but I was ascending the stairwell, and I was just able to get past the crest of this huge wave that was coming. And it was a huge wave. But it was a manufactured wave. Now, I was talking to my wife. It was kind of weird. She made this statement, and I thought, this is an interesting statement. She said, well, maybe all of these ships not being on the coast is for a purpose, and there's a reason why this is happening at this moment. Because now, in the news, they're warning about a massive tsunami and possible volcanic eruption under the ocean off the Pacific Northwest. Did you hear that today? I heard that on the news today. And if this is true, or they can create man-made tsunamis. You know how they do that? You guys know you know how they do that? It's called nuclear detonation underwater, and they can literally create a massive tsunami by doing that, from what I understand. So, but in my dream, it was manufactured. It was and it was a machine that was making tsunamis. I had seen a smaller one in the beginning of the dream. So by having this dream, it kind of made me think, well, maybe there's something going on. Once I saw the news that there was a tsunami warning when I woke up, I thought, because there's no way I could have known while I was asleep. I didn't have no radio on or no TV on in the background. I wasn't dreaming because I was hearing something. It was truly, I believe, a message that was probably somehow connected to what was going on. But I also think there was a deeper meaning to it. And I think that deeper meaning is that this is the black horse that we're watching ride right now. We've seen the white horse. I think the white horse was COVID. I think the red horse is the horse of war. We've seen that. And it's going to get worse. I think these horses ride concurrently too. I don't think that they're riding one after another. I do think that there's going to be a coinciding event of not only famine and war, but also pestilence, So we're going to see all these riders beginning to ride. They started off one, and then they're still riding as the second one comes on, and they're still riding as the third one. So I think they're all riding concurrently. But what we're going to be seeing now is shortages. So what does it say about the black horse? Listen to what it says about the black horse. It says the black horse represents famine and economic scarcity. Famine and economic scarcity. It's going to affect everything. It's going to affect your food. It's going to affect everything. Transportation, shipping, maybe gas, prices are going to, everything's going to change. And after listening to Trump's interview, did you see that interview he did today and listening to what he said? That gave me the EBGBs just listening to him talk about it. That did not sound confident. That did not give me any reason to think that this is all going to be solved, that he's not going to be pulling no rabbit out of the hat. This is not no 4D chess move. For all you out there that think things are going to get better, you are in for a rude awakening, and it's going to be very rude, and it's going to be very painful. I don't even know what's going to happen. That's how bad I think it's going to get. But it says economic scarcity, famine, and this is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The rider on the black horse is depicted holding a pair of scales symbolizing the measuring or weighing of commodities, particularly food during a famine. How many of you guys were a part of our prepper meetings? I believe our prepper meetings were, I believe the prepper meetings that we held a while back were in preparation for what we're in now. And if you weren't there, you don't know what you missed. But people that were there, we talked about a lot of different things. A lot of different things about prepping. And I think that the time for prepping is over. That's why we don't talk about it anymore. I think about the products that we had in our store. I'm going to shut the store off. I can't continue to do anything because of the prices. The price is going to explode in the next week. Prices are all going up already. So we're going to have to shut the store off. You know how many people are doing this? What I'm doing right now, shutting off the store? There's a lot of people going bankrupt right now. We're talking about transportation. We're talking about truckers and logistics and the logistic companies. They're all being hit so hard. They're just selling their rigs. They're selling their trucks. There's no way they can make a living anymore. And the administration said it's a terrible thing what Amazon's going to do by posting the price that things used to cost as opposed to what they are now under the tariff. Trump administration doesn't like that. I want to play you the interview of Trump answering questions about the recession, and he said, yeah, it's going to happen. And tell me what you think about his body language and what he's saying, the way he's saying it. Tell me if it engenders any kind of confidence at all. All right, check this out. I posted this on our Telegram page today, or tonight, I should say. Let's take a look at this really quick.
And I want
you to really listen to the questions, listen to the way Trump interrupts and tries to craft a better image of what she's asking, even though she's asking a very legitimate question, how he tries to cover the look or the image of what's actually happening, like trying to make a different image, when the reality is right there facing us. It's just, everybody can see it. But he's trying to still craft that image of everything is okay. That to me tells me that he's lying. He knows it. He's doing it on purpose. He's not being forthright with people, and people have no, they want to believe, they want to trust, they want to believe that this is some 3D chess move. But please pay close attention.
And I want to know what you think about that. Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing that ever happened.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term. Yeah. Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
I think we're going to do fantastically. That don't sound too confident to me. It sounded like he got caught and put in a corner, or, kind of with that question. He wasn't prepared to answer it correctly. It's a moment where he didn't feel confident in controlling the narrative and the way it looks. Because these are real questions that are being asked right now. The India and the Pakistan thing is getting big. I'm looking at some of these posts coming out right now. Now they're banning all trade between the two countries. They're just shutting everything down. Everything's shutting down. They're getting prepared for some kind of conflict. But anyways, the Trump interview just reveals to me body language, tone, and just on the face value of what he said, his answer. It feels like he's lying, like he's not telling the truth. That's what I get from it. He's not telling the truth to the people. He's wanting to make people feel good, but he's not telling them what's going to actually happen. A little bit of pain. Now, when you really look at what's really happening, I think there's going to be a lot of pain. A lot of pain. And could this actually start some kind of uncontrolled domino effect on other ecosystems, socially, civilly, economically, on a different scale than just what they're saying? They're just saying, oh, the price of food isn't going to go up. No, the price of food ain't going to go up. It's just going to be like things that you get from China. I mean, we're already paying a huge amount of extra every year because of food and the inflation. Well, prices have gone down with gas. Well, so what? Is it really gone down? I mean, when everything else is going up? Egg prices have gone down. No, they're not. They're still way up. They used to be like $3 a dozen, and they're still averaging about $4.50 to $5 a dozen. People are losing their homes. They're not able to pay their mortgages. Credit card debts through the roof. On a statistic of all Americans now living off of credit cards. They can't afford any. Their people aren't even able to pay their bills, and it's going to get worse. I'm just telling you. And when he posts crap like this on his Truth Social site, this makes me think there's something wrong with him. Like really wrong with him. Like there's something really wrong. Why would somebody do that? Why would he post this? Why would he post this? He's trolling. Oh, really? What? Why is he trolling at a time like this? Why would he be trolling? What's the purpose of trolling? He's getting them back. He's making fun of them. Fun of who? The other side that actually makes him look great? This looks like a fake WWE punch. Is he pretending like he's really hurting the other side by continually pounding them and making them look stupid and making himself look good? It would have never happened if I was in. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to keep hearing that. I just want to see what the answer is. Like, what's the answer? This is not about left and right. And right now is winning because now everything's going our way because our guy's in. No, it doesn't seem like our guy to me. And why would you post that after somebody, the Pope dies on top of that? Why would he post this? Just doesn't make any sense. Except for the fact that it does make sense if you're looking at it from the perspective that I look at it from. And that's not to say that I have a better perspective. It's just my way of thinking about who Trump is in the context of what's going on, which I don't go into great detail about, but most of you know where I stand on it, that he could literally be, the last Trump with a little horn that makes great boasts, miraculously comes back from a mortal political head wound or a legal or a judicial head wound. He comes back miraculously from who was and was not and then was again. He had one term, and then it was not, and then he had another term. I mean, this is like perfectly explaining who Trump is and what he's going to do. He's going to destroy wonderfully when they least expect it. A tsunami of chaos is going to descend upon the whole world. Not to mention right here at home in the United States. It's going to start here, and it's rippling all across the whole country because Trump rules the world, right? Isn't that what he said? I control what did he say? I forget how he said it. I control the world? How did he say it? I control the world. Trump. I think it was I control the world or I run the world. I run the world. Okay. I run America and I run the world. And somebody's like, well, yeah, America has always run the world. Well, yeah, I think what's happening now is we're just kind of manifesting the fullness of what that really means. Like the almighty dollar controls nations. We've basically made drunk the nations with our dainties and our pharmakia. That's called sorcery. When you go to the original language in the book of Revelation, it says that this great city, Babylon, basically makes drunk the nations, and it also has sorcery or pharmakia that is, I got splinter in my finger out. And I'm just waiting for the lights to go out. There is a scripture that talks about lights going out on this kingdom, and they're talking about lights going out. And it has something to do with the solar effects that it has on the earth. So just look at the seals, and you'll see the seals right before the lights go out. There's an effect on people's skin. The sun burns. So, when this was written thousands of years ago, there was no electricity. There were no computer components. That wouldn't have made any sense, but it makes perfect sense now. A massive CME from the sun, a coronal mass ejection, would affect lights. Lights go out, and the beast's kingdom goes dark. Right after men's skin gets burned. So the one vial is skin getting burned. The very next vial is the beast's kingdom goes dark. It's kind of like the horse, the riders of the horse of the apocalypse. One rider, then the second rider, then the third. So it's a succession of an unfolding event, and I think that what we're seeing right now is the prelude into famine, and the full orbed famine, pestilence, and now after that is death, right? The Deagle report is the fourth horseman of the apocalypse. So if you don't know what the Deagle report is, it was an official intelligence report that was scrubbed off the internet, but you got to go back and really do your research on it. And what they said about America will shock you, the population that would be left on planet Earth after 2025. And they gave that date, 2025. And when did they write that Deagle report? When was that posted? How many years ago? And they predicted about 2025. And why would they scrub that away after so long of a period of time? Because they weren't worried about it at that time, because it was conspiracy theorists that were the only ones looking at it, right? But now that it gains some kind of credibility because everything seems to be kind of lining up with that report. So could this be the report that explains the pale horse that rides right after famine? Because you got the black horse, then you got the pale horse. And the pale horse is death. And hell followed behind, close behind. Because men were not right with God, right? So hell came. Well, men are going to have hell to pay if they're not right with God. They're going to pay. They're going to pay for their debt right there in hell. And hell is a real place. Unfortunately, there is a recompense. Hopefully, God is merciful, and that recompense is only for a period of time. And after that, we can all debate whether the fire is the lake of fire is a second death, because it does say the lake of fire is second death. And if death is truly an annihilation, well, then maybe after you've suffered for a period of time in hell, then hell comes to a cessation at a certain point. Hell is not the lake of fire. People keep thinking, oh, when you're in hell, you're in the fire. No, hell is not the lake of fire. The lake of fire is separate. Hell, it says, is cast in to the lake of fire at a certain point. And it says that the lake of fire, which is the second death. So the devil, angels, all those who rebelled that were held in this place called hell are cast into the second death. They're cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. And our God is a consuming fire. It says consuming. So it will be consumed. Whatever that means. Wood, hay, and stubble will be nothing left but ash, right? Gold, silver, and precious stones will survive the fervent heat. The elements will melt with fervent heat, it says, right? It says the heavens and the earth will melt with fervent heat. What does that mean? Is that the consuming fire of our God? Is that the second? Is that the lake of fire that ultimately consumes and purifies what we know of creation, right? There's going to be a new heavens and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness, right? This is the place that Christ went to prepare for us, as well as preparing us for that place. In the process of your trial and tribulation, you have purified yourselves and washed yourselves white and clean in the blood of the Lamb. Now you have a white robe. This purification process ushers you in past the fire. Because what happens with the 3 Hebrew children? They didn't bend, they didn't burn, and they didn't bow, they didn't bend, and they didn't burn. And one like unto the Son of Man was also walking around with them in there. And they were aglow, but they did not burn because they were righteous, right? You're going to walk right through it if you're right with God. How many of you guys can walk through the fire? You're going to walk through the fire. You're going to walk on the coals of hellfire and just walk right through, because the fire that they say is hellfire is the second death, right? It is the consuming fire that I think is going to purify and purge the universe of evil. That's what it does. It purges and it purifies the universe of evil. So, I mean, there's a lot of debate on that. You know, some believe it's a torture that continues on for eternity, and that souls are going to be in agony forever and ever and ever and ever. But there's the possibility that it might mean that there is, if you think about death, when you die, you cease to exist on this plane, right? You're no longer here physically. Now your soul obviously goes somewhere after death, and that's why there's a second death. And that's why there's a born again experience as well, right? If you're born again, you only die once. But if you're not born again, you die twice. There's a second death. When you're born from above, death is swallowed up in life, right? It says death, oh, where is your sting? Grave, where is your victory? Death is swallowed up in life. So when you die physically, you're literally coming into the fullness of life to become one with God once again. You are not going to go into the second death. You will not, as a believer, you will not taste death. Or you're not going to be stung by death. You're not going to be taken by death. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and I am the life. He that believeth in me, though he be dead, yet shall he live. So yeah, physically you die for a short time, your body, but your life is hid with God in Christ. So as soon as you put off this body, it says you sleep, your body sleeps, you are instantaneously present with the Lord. Absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, right? You're going to be present with the Lord instantaneously. When it says your body sleeps, it's not talking about soul sleep. It's talking about body sleep before it actually is raised from the dead. Once the body is resurrected, or what we call redemption of the body at the end of the age, that is when it reunites with the soul that is one with the Lord, or is present with the Lord, right? To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. It is appointed unto man once to die and then to face judgment. And every man is going to be judged. Whether you're a Christian, you're going to be under the bema seat. Someone says, well, if you're a Christian, you're not judged. Yeah, you go through a rewards or a judgment of reward. You're not going to be judged at the great white throne. You're not going to be thrown out of, God's presence at that, in that judicial moment where God cast you out. If you're outside of God's will, you're going to be cast out in outer darkness, away from God's presence. But if you're a Christian, you stand before Christ and you receive rewards, right, for what was done in the body. And it does talk about those who get in to heaven but have lost everything in the process. They don't have any reward. I forget how it goes. It's something like they basically go through a, as I was telling you, the fire purges, and it says that the fire tests the works. What does it say? 1 Corinthians, okay, I think this is it. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 13, it says, each one's work will become manifest, for the day, capital D, will disclose it, will reveal it, because it will be revealed by fire. And the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. And what does it say in verse 14? Let's see. I think this is where it says that a man's works may be burnt up, but he himself will be saved yet by fire, right? Let's see if that's it. It says, if what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward, right? There it is, verse 14. Verse 15 says, but if it is burnt up, the builder will suffer loss. And by the way, you are a builder. With what God gives, you are to build with gold, silver, and precious stones, right? That's the material that is spiritually going to benefit you in the life hereafter, which is your rewards, right? By what you build with. If you're building with wood, hay, and stubble, then it's going to be tried by fire and burnt at a loss, right? You're going to suffer loss. So it says in verses 15, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 15, if it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames. So the flames will purify you from your dead works. And if you were a person that lived in dead works, even though you were a believer, you're going to suffer loss, it says. There will be no reward. Or you're going to have a limited amount of rewards when you get there. And then it goes on to say, don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? Verses 16 and verses 17, and if anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person, for God's temple is sacred, and you together are that temple. Now, it's talking about the temple of you and I, physical, and obviously our soul and our spirit, which is a type and a shadow, or is the reality of the type and the shadow of Christ and the true temple, or the temple in Israel, that it represented the spirit, soul, and the body, right? The spirit being the holiest of holies, the soul being the candlestick and the bread, the table of showbread, and the altar of incense, right? The mind, the will, the emotions, the soul, the awareness, self-awareness, and then the outer court being the physical body, right? So you are that temple. If you destroy the physical temple, he's talking in the context there of of the rewards that are done in your physical body. So, what you're doing right now is very important for the end game, because once you stand before the Lord, what you have produced in this world that is eternal God is going to confirm it, and it's going to follow you in to your heavenly reward. But what you're doing now, if it hasn't the weight of eternity, if God himself did not rot your work, he did not work and will his purpose in you. You know, when the Bible says work out your salvation, for it is God that is at work within you, both to will and to work of his good pleasure. He's willing it and working it, right? That is an eternal treasure that you are yourself co-laboring with God to find and co-laboring with God to accomplish, right, in this world. His work is your reward. To do his work is to accrue and to, you know, it's like a savings account. You're basically accruing a weight of glory that is going to follow you in. So for those who don't seek and pray and, you know, ask God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven, they're not going to see those rewards. They're going to, you know, as it says, get in but by fire, and they're gonna suffer loss. And what does that mean? I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be like when people pass over into their eternal reward. When it talks about the eternal reward, well, do they even have an eternal reward, or they're going to suffer loss? Does that mean it says they will be saved. It says yet they themselves will be saved. But what does that mean? Are they kind of lower rung? Are they going to be in the slums of heaven? I mean, is there such a thing as a slum or the other side of the train tracks in heaven? Is there a class system in heaven? I have no idea. You know, it says that they cast their crowns before the Lord, and all their, you know, everybody's just going to be bowing before the Lord anyway. So, you know, who knows? But it's an interesting thought. Amen, Gary. It is a great show. It's a great show because the Lord is the one that's the master of ceremonies. And I thank God for being with us and guiding us and, you know, teaching us every day. I pray that everybody out there is listening, because time is short. And I don't know why that old commercial came into my head. We wear short shorts. Time is short. We're about to get shaved. You know that commercial was about Nair and getting yourself shaved. Have you ever heard that saying, you're going to get shaved, you're going to get a haircut? Everybody's about to get a haircut. I hope you're all ready. You're about to get Naired, because that's what it was about. We wear short shorts. They were talking about Nair, cutting your hair. You're about to get your haircut. Whenever they say that, that means you're about to lose some money. When you get a haircut, what does that mean? You're losing your money. People are like, I'm in the markets. I'm invested in the stocks. Well, you're about to get a haircut. That means you're going to come back and your ears are going to be lowered and there's not going to be anything left. You're going to look bald. You're about to get a haircut. You're about to lose your shirt. You're going to be like, whoo, where did my shirt go? It came from China, don't you know? The Canadians are going to be like, it comes from China, don't you know? Are my Canadian friends here still? Canadian friend, are you there? Canadian friend, calling Canadian friend, don't you know? The Great White North, is it here represented? Time is up, Judah. It is up. Time is up. Well, I guess that's about it. Yeah, so much has happened in such a short time. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Gary. Things are definitely on the fast track. I always liken it to Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train song. All aboard! Do 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 do. We're on a crazy train. Ba 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 ba. It just feels like it's a crazy train. It's like, or we could say maybe Celine Dion's song on the Titanic as it's sinking. Like the Titanic was another, symbolism parallel. It's like the Titanic, it's sinking. America, find something to float on quick. Hold on, get onto the end of the ship, and stay out of the water as long as possible. This is why I'm running to the heights before the tsunami gets here, because I know it's coming. I'm going to try to be on the outskirts, as far off. This is what I knew was coming for a long time, guys. I've known this moment was coming. This is not taking me by surprise. Okay? I have been telling and warning people this is coming, and I've seen it from afar, and I knew it was getting close. This is why I did what I did. People that know me, you know what I've done. You know how I've positioned myself. I say where I've positioned myself for a reason. Yes. Trump train. Yeah, the Trump train is hitting the brick wall. That's why I jumped off the Trump train. I was riding that Trump train there for a while, and I was like, I'm off this crazy train. This is a crazy train. This is not going anywhere. It's going directly for a brick wall. And I think they're doing it on purpose. That's the weird thing about it, is I think that it's all being engineered and guided and directed into the brick wall on purpose. But see, people don't see really what's going on yet. And they're not going to see. They're going to see the brick wall, and then they're going to be like that crash dummy. They got the big X on their head. They're the crash dummies. They're there for a reason, I guess. They got to learn the hard way. Everybody's going to learn. It's going to affect everybody. Obviously, the whole world is going to be affected. What's the song? Don't Get on the Long Black Train. I'm not sure. The Trump train is going somewhere all right. Yeah, it's going somewhere all right. It's going straight to the hot place. That's where it's going. All aboard. That's what Ozzy said in that song. That's why I say it reminds me of Ozzy's song, because what you hear is all aboard, and then you hear that evil voice laughing. Because everybody's getting on a crazy train. Why do they want to ride a crazy train? Because everybody else is doing it. Don't you know? No, Johnny Cash. No, I'm not talking about Johnny Cash. I'm talking about... Yes, nothing happens on accident at that level. I know, Judah. It's all planned. That's why I keep telling everybody, it's a plan. This is all part of a plan. I kind of wonder if Trump's made deals with Xi Jinping and Putin for this purpose, to bring about the big shift. Maybe this is all done on purpose. Maybe he's got a high-level position for bringing down the great economy. Now, interesting note, and I had talked about this a while back, about some of the Jews that believe that Trump is a Messiah. One of the statements that I thought was very interesting is that Trump is in the order of Esau, and that Esau was, according to the sages, that Esau was a great, very influential, and a very powerful, and even greater than Jacob, except for the fact that he didn't inherit the promise because of his being tricked or deceived, and also for not having the favor of God at that time. But he was still under the favor of the Most High because he became a very powerful nation. But they believe that at a certain point, the sages of old believed that Esau would be reunited, just like in the story. He would be reunited with his brother, and that Esau would become a great, influence in salvation to Israel in the latter days. They believe this is a prophetic message embedded within the story. And they believe that Trump is the Esau of the last days. And one of the things they say about messiahs, going back to like Moses, is that messiahs destroyed their own environment. For instance, Moses was raised up in Pharaoh's house and was a very powerful, influential leader, right hand to the Pharaoh, but ended up turning and ultimately bringing destruction to the empire that he was once a part of. And so they believe that Trump is in that order of a Messiah, like a Joseph, and that he's going to ultimately bring down. I mean, look at Jesus. He in a certain way did the same thing, brought down the empire. So they believe that this bringing down of the empire of America, because, you know, if you really, really, really know something about what's going on with Judaism, this is why a lot of the Jews have recommended that their people, Jewish people, leave America because it's not safe. You know that, right? They want them to do the Elial, where they make pilgrimage back to Israel. They want to repopulate the state. They want people to come out of New York and out of America and come back to Israel. They say it's not safe in America anymore. Anti-Semitism is very strong. You're going to need to leave. There's a reason. Remember, on 9/11, a lot of people weren't there at work that day. They got a memo from someone. Remember, just kind of strange, don't you think? Were those reports false or were they real? Why were there not those people, that particular group of people was not there on that day? And didn't they get a memo to not be there? And then you had the dancing Jews out there when it was all happening, being filmed. That's why they brought him in and they were questioning him, like, what was going on there, guys? Why were you so happy? Because we're watching the fall of the empire is probably what it's going on there. They're there to take notes, make sure they report back because they were intelligence, right? They knew something was about to happen. And so, you know, our usefulness and our utilitarian purpose for the ultimate big scheme of things on a high level is probably up. Maybe that's it. You know, God judges America and the effects that we have on the globe according to the book of Revelation. If we truly are the embodiment of Babylon or the renewed Roman Empire, we're going to go through that judgment. Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like this possibly could be it with what's coming. I mean, look at what's happening. This could be it, guys. I'm just saying. This could be the beginning of those dominoes falling. What do you guys think? What's crazy to me is that a lot of people don't seem to be really... I know there are people preparing right now. I know that there's a lot of people starting to kind of panic buy certain things, but I don't think people really know what to buy because they don't know really how it's going to affect everything. They don't know how it's going to affect the prices on food, on cars, on you know, whatever, the basic things that, I mean, we're already supposedly saving. I keep saying this. It's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, or 10 steps back. Trump's telling us, well, the prices of gas is down. Well, the prices of eggs are down. Well, those are the immediate things you always think of. The price of gas is down. Oh, I feel so much better. My life feels so much better because gas is low. But I'm being charged exponentially 10 times higher on different things like food and other things that are affecting, you know, it's kind of like a secondary tax, you know, whether it's your, you know, property tax or whatever else is going up. Eggs are still up. I mean, you know, food is up, like still 20-30% from like a year or two ago. People are still paying more for things that they weren't paying for. But, gas prices are down because that's the immediate thing people feel. Oh, that makes me feel good because then I don't feel as painful now when I'm putting in $5 a gallon gas, and now I'm only putting in $2.50. I feel much better about life. But that doesn't last. You're only saving a little bit of money every 2 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks. How long? It depends on how much you drive, but you're not saving that much. But when you're getting hit on the other end, you're taking the 10 steps back. And it's going to get worse from here on out? Really? It's going to get worse from here on out? How much worse is it going to get? This is already bad. They're saying this isn't a bad economy. This is a bad economy. And it was bad because of Biden, too. Biden ushered it in. And Trump is just expounding on it. Trump is exacerbating it. And I think he's going to make it 10 times worse with what he's doing right now. And I think that it's part of the plan. This is part of the plan. This is what people don't get. This is part of the plan for the Great Reset. Trump is the closer. Okay, he's the one that closes the deal. He's probably made some massive deal on the global stage to have some place in a high level once everything comes crashing down. It's probably some secret deal that he made in the back rooms of the globalists. You ever think about that? That's 4D chess right there, and you've been played. 4D chess right there, and you've been played. You thought he was playing 3D chess. Nope, he's playing 4D chess, and you've been played. And I'm talking to those who are still trusting the plan, by the way. Most of you guys listening to me right now don't trust the plan. But, for those who are trusting the plan, you better wake up. Look at what Trump said today. Okay, this is exactly my point. So he just said exactly what I just said. Okay, so my wife just posted this. I want you to look at this. I think she just posted it because she thought it was funny that I said the same exact thing as he just said today. Listen to what he says.
Our first 100 days have also produced historic results in the battle to defeat Biden's inflation disaster and bring jobs and wealth back to America and bring them back to Michigan, okay? We want to bring them back. As an example, since I took office, the cost of eggs is down 87%. Now, right? You remember a few weeks ago, before Thanksgiving, we heard about it I heard about it a long time ago. Before Thanksgiving, I heard about it. And then I was hearing that I wasn't president. This guy was barely president. Nobody knew, was he president? Who the hell was president? To this day, I say it was the one that operated the auto pen, but what do I know? But I was hearing about eggs, and then all of a sudden we have a great election victory. And my first week in office, they start screaming at me, "What about the price of eggs? Eggs, eggs." I said, "I've only been here for 6 days. I was there 6 days." I said, "What's wrong with eggs?" They said, "The price of eggs has gone through the roof, and you won't be able to have them for Easter." So I put our very capable Brooke Rollins, who's our wonderful Commissioner of Agriculture that you know in Michigan. I said, "Brooke, I've only been here 6 days before I heard, maybe even less, maybe 5, maybe 4. But it was my first week. And I said, "Brooke, you got to save me here. I'm getting killed about eggs. What the hell's going on with eggs?" She said, "Well, you can't get them. The price is through the roof. And it looks like we're going to have a real problem for Easter. You're not going to have eggs." I said, "Brooke, that doesn't sound politically viable to me. That doesn't sound good. Because nobody's going to believe me when you get out there that it's Sleepy Joe Biden's fault. So, Brooke, you got to get going, Brooke, please." And she did a great job. And you had so many eggs for Easter, and your price was down 87% from that point. Prices are coming way down. You know, the fake news doesn't say. They said, he pledged. Now, I pledged safe borders. I pledged all sorts of things. But they said, he pledged to bring prices down. Well, that's what I've done. They're trying to say the prices have gone up. Your energy, your car, your gasoline, they have 3 states this week, a couple of days ago, that were $1.98 a gallon.
Boy, I feel so good about that, but I'm paying an extra 50% or 40 to 50% extra on groceries, and I know it's about to get a lot worse. So that all cancels everything out, you know. The little bit that I'm saving on the gas is exponentially being increased with everything else that's happening, and it's even going to get worse. So don't tell me about eggs and gas. Those are just feel good front issues that are right in my face. Tell me about the pain of everybody losing their jobs, not only to automation and AI, but also because manufacturing of Chinese products in our own country is going to go out the window, not to mention the businesses that depend on Chinese products. Everything is, symbiotic relationships with other countries now, and you've just thrown a big wrench into the whole global. As you said, you're running the world. And what are you running the world? Into the ground by these tariffs? Well, yeah, that's what you're doing. And so, you know how many people are losing their jobs because of that and aren't going to have any money because of that? That has a ripple effect. Not just China having a ripple effect, but Americans losing their jobs has a ripple effect. And how that's going to look in the next couple of months, nobody knows. How bad it could get. I mean, literally, not to mention the fact that we could be at war in the next short term, whether it's in Middle East, Ukraine, because we're committing now to Ukraine. Now we're not pulling back and trying to bring peace. Now we're wholeheartedly supporting the war effort there and throwing all kinds of money at it now, because we've got a pact that we made with them. Now we've made a deal with Zelensky. We made a deal with him. Can you believe that? And now we're committed. So we could be at war there. We could be at war with China in the South China Sea. The Philippines are feeling threatened. That's our ally, big time. Not to mention Taiwan. And we're spread thin everywhere. So where else? Just think logically about what could happen here. There's a lot of potential problems that could happen. Anyways, I just wanted to make sure I got this out there for everybody to think on, meditate on. You need to really think about these things. Really ponder this in light of what's happening, and prepare accordingly. And I say prepare accordingly in mind, heart, soul, spirit. And if you need to thinking about getting prepared naturally in the natural, I don't know if it's too late or not. Like I said, I think that all the price increases are going to hit Amazon in the next week. I think that ship times are already starting to go on the downturn. I think that you're going to see a lot of people just closing up shop online. Middle class is going to be going bye-bye. And people are going to finally wake up when, there's unrest. Why do you think that Trump is militarizing the police departments? They say in preparation for civil unrest, but why do you think he's doing that right now? In the last, few days, he signed that executive order because he's expecting backlash and protests. I'll tell you what's coming. Protests. That's what's next. So just remember what I told you. Protests are coming. You're going to see protests like you've never seen before in the streets. Okay? You guys ready for protests? And where are those protests? And I said like you've never seen. It's going to be worse than the first term of Trump. And it's going to be another big distraction, kind of like COVID coming in. You know how the COVID thing stopped a lot of protests for China, and China was under big protest from their people, as well as Taiwan or Hong Kong and everything. But as soon as COVID hit, a big crisis, everything stopped. You know why? Because it's a national security issue now. They bring out the big guns to stop it. Everything's going to stop. So you've got militarized police being empowered by federal government now in preparation for what's about to hit the fan. That's what's coming out. So, think about it like that. So you've been given your heads up. Another one. There you go. So let's say a prayer and ask the Lord to bless the information and help people to digest it, to understand it, and to prepare with that knowledge to prepare. Father, we pray for wisdom, for understanding, for everyone to prepare and with your guidance, their hearts, their minds, and their souls, and being in one accord, in one mind, in one heart, and in one spirit. The people that are called by your name in their communities coming together as a light that shines in a dark place, that they would rise up with your guidance and your wisdom to influence and to be the salt of the earth at a time of great tribulation, in a time of great despair and fear. You would bring peace to those who call upon your name, and a true sense of their destiny being fulfilled as they follow through with your will for their lives, and their commitment to you is made good. And everyone would follow wherever you lead by the power of Jesus' name, in all that he is and all that he has done. And he would be our guide for our everyday life. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen, brothers and sisters. God bless you, all of you out there that are watching. I pray that you have a good sleep, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I know I'm doing a lot of different things here, and I might be a little sparse on some of the broadcasts here, but I'll still be trying to hit it tomorrow. The 6 o'clock broadcast we're putting on hold for just a little bit here because I got a couple things I got to get done. But in the meantime, I'll still be doing impromptu messages here, so stay tuned and keep up on our Telegram page. Amen.